So I want you to imagine, just for a second, that you're sitting at your computer.
Okay.
And you have just poured, like, hours into crafting the absolute perfect email campaign to send out to your customer base. I mean, you know the exact kind I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. The one where everything just clicks.
Exactly. You've optimized the margins. The copy is super sharp. The call to action is perfectly placed. It just captures everything your brand represents.
Right. You're feeling pretty good about it.
Totally. You hit send, feeling incredibly accomplished. But now imagine that 50% of your contact list never even receives it.
Yeah, it doesn't even land in their promotions tab. It's not in their spam folder.
Yeah.
It just completely vanishes into the digital void, like before it ever even reaches the user's interface.
Exactly. Poof. Just gone. And you're sitting there refreshing your analytics dashboard, looking at this abysmal open rate.
Yeah.
Completely unaware that half of your audience was blocked from seeing your work right at the server level.
Which is, I mean, it's incredibly frustrating.
It's beyond frustrating. But you know, why does this happen? What are the actual mechanics behind this invisible blockade? That is the mission of today's deep dive. We're going to decode the invisible gatekeepers of our inboxes.
Yeah. Because it is a highly complex and honestly sometimes brutal algorithmic system, and it's happening entirely behind the scenes of our daily communications.
Right.
And it operates on rules that most senders just completely ignore.
Yeah. So to help us navigate the mechanics of all this, we are drawing on a really comprehensive guide from an agency called Stellapop.
They're a management and creative services agency.
Yeah, based out of Reston, Virginia. And their guide gets into the really granular details of how to improve email deliverability, specifically focusing on what they call your sender reputation. So, okay, let's unpack this. Why do genuinely good emails from legitimate businesses get blocked by these providers?
Well, it fundamentally comes down to that exact concept you just mentioned, sender reputation. In the Stellapop guide, they highlight this highly technical yet kind of foundational definition from a company called Sendinblue.
Okay, what do they say?
It basically states that your sender reputation is the reputation of your email sending IP address. But, you know, to understand what that actually means in practice, we have to look at how email servers actually talk to each other.
Right, the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Exactly. So when your email server reaches out to an inbox provider like, say, Gmail or Yahoo to deliver a message, the receiving server essentially pauses the interaction to run a background check.
A background check.
Yeah. It looks at your incoming IP address and says, do I trust this sender or is this a spammer?
So wait, the inbox provider is making a definitive judgment on the sender's entire operation before it even parses the contents of the actual message.
Yes.
It's like a preemptive strike.
Precisely. It's a preemptive strike. And this algorithmic judgment is based heavily on 3 core pillars of historical data.
Okay, what are they?
First, the historical content quality of your emails. Second, the quality of your contacts, meaning, like, what is the aggregate behavior of the people you typically email? And third, the historical engagement levels of the previous campaigns you've routed through that specific IP address.
Okay, I want to make sure we are visualizing the mechanics of this correctly because it's a lot. Is sender reputation basically like a digital credit score?
Well, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, like in the financial sector, if you have bad credit, the underwriter doesn't care how good your business plan is, right? The bank simply denies your loan. Are we saying that in the digital infrastructure, if your sender reputation is poor, the inbox providers simply deny your server's request to connect?
What's fascinating here is just how accurate that analogy is, especially regarding the ruthlessness of the algorithm.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, with a financial credit score, an underwriter has a rigid, automated set of metrics. If the debt-to-income ratio is off, you are flagged as a liability. The major inbox providers operate the exact same way, just at an astronomical scale.
Because they're processing, what, billions of emails a day?
Exactly. Billions. They do not have the processing power or the mandate to care about your beautifully designed header image.
All right, the algorithm doesn't appreciate art.
No, it doesn't. If your digital credit score falls below their algorithmic threshold, you are mathematically deemed a liability to their user's inbox experience. Your entry is simply denied at the gateway.
Wow. Okay, so if we know we have this invisible score dictating our entire digital communication strategy, we desperately need to understand exactly how the providers are calculating it.
Definitely.
The Stellapop guide breaks this calculation down into 2 distinct pillars that dictate your overall deliverability, right? Domain reputation and server IP reputation. Let's look at the first one. How are they judging the domain itself?
So domain reputation is tied directly to the health and history of your sending domain. Like if we use the exact example from the source text, if your email address is lexi@lexuscandles.com, the domain is lexuscandles.com.
Right, the part after the @ symbol.
Exactly. Now, the algorithms factor in a few very specific metrics here. One of the primary data points is domain age.
Domain age, so how old the website is.
Yeah.
When an inbox provider sees an incoming message from a brand new domain, their automated filters instantly apply a massive penalty to its trust score.
Wait, really? Why the immediate penalty? Are they just, biased against startups and new businesses?
No, it has nothing to do with business bias. It is entirely about spam mitigation tactics.
Okay.
Malicious actors and spammers frequently utilize a tactic called snowshoe spamming.
Snowshoe spamming. That's a weird term.
I know, right? Basically, they spin up hundreds of brand new domains, blast out thousands of spam emails from each, and then abandon those domains before the global blacklists can catch up to them.
Oh, wow. So they spread the footprint out like a snowshoe.
Exactly. Because of this, inbox providers are inherently suspicious of any domain that doesn't have a seasoned track record. Your new domain has to prove its legitimacy over time by slowly sending high-quality traffic.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. The machine learning model recognizes that new heavily correlates with malicious.
Right.
What else are they looking at on the domain side? Well, they are heavily analyzing how your domain is categorized on the broader web.
Categorized how?
Like the internet's infrastructure constantly categorizes domains. Is this an education site, a finance portal, or, entertainment?
Okay, sure.
Those categorization engines feed data to the inbox providers. So if your incoming email claims to be a banking alert, but your domain is categorized under entertainment, that mismatch triggers a massive red flag in the spam filters logic.
That is fascinating. So the domain is essentially your digital identity card.
Exactly.
But what about the physical infrastructure? Because the guide makes a very hard distinction between that domain reputation and the server IP reputation. How does the actual server we send from play into this?
Yeah, so your server IP reputation is assigned based on the actual hardware routing your message, whether that's an email service provider or your web host. This IP address is the digital origin point. If an internet service provider, an ISP, queries a global DNS blacklist and sees that your assigned IP has a low score, your messages are instantly routed to the spam folder, or they just bounce back entirely.
Wait, hold on. Let me push back on this because this brings up a massive technical issue.
Okay, what's that?
If my IP reputation comes from a server host, like, say, GoDaddy, I am almost certainly on a shared server, right? I am sharing an IP address with hundreds, maybe thousands of other businesses.
You are.
Are you telling me that if one of those other businesses decides to buy a sketchy list and start blasting spam, the ISP penalizes my IP reputation?
That is exactly how the infrastructure handles it, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I wish I was. If you are on a shared IP address, you are effectively sharing a commercial license with strangers. If one of those strangers uses that license to violate the rules by repeatedly hitting algorithmic honeypots or spam traps, the ISPs don't have the time to figure out which specific user on that server is the bad actor.
Right, they can't just dig through it all.
Exactly. They operate bluntly. They just blacklist the entire IP address to protect their users.
So I could have a perfectly seasoned domain, I could be sending highly relevant content, but just because some random company sharing my server block is running a malicious pharmaceutical scam or something, my perfectly crafted email vanishes.
Yep.
That seems incredibly flawed.
It is a blunt instrument, absolutely. But from the ISP's perspective, it is the only way to handle the sheer volume of global spam.
I guess that makes sense from their side, but it's terrifying for a sender.
It is. Now, the Stella Pop guide does mention that you aren't completely in the dark here.
Okay, good.
Senders can actually use various online tools to query these global databases and check their own IP and domain sender scores.
Oh, like credit checking tools.
Exactly. These tools scrape the exact same DNS blacklists that Gmail and Yahoo use, allowing you to see if your IP neighborhood has been burned.
Okay, which brings us to the pivotal section of this deep dive, the Deliverability Rescue Plan. Let's say we check those tools and realize our score is in the gutter, or we just want to proactively protect a good score. How do we appease these algorithmic gatekeepers?
Well, the primary and arguably most critical strategy the Stella Pop guide outlines is aggressive list cleaning.
List cleaning.
You have to scrub your contact database. To avoid being heavily penalized by the algorithms, you must ensure your list is entirely free of invalid addresses, hard bounces, and critically unengaged users.
Wait. Unengaged users. You're telling me to actually delete them.
Yes.
Let's talk about the economics of that for a second.
Yeah.
If I am running a business, I might be paying $5 to $10 per lead on Meta ads or Google PPC.
Right. Leads aren't cheap.
I fought hard for those emails. You want me to just throw thousands of dollars of acquired leads into the trash just because they haven't opened an email in 6 months? Why can't I just keep them on the list just in case they decide to buy something next year?
Because keeping them is actively destroying your ability to reach the people who do want to buy from you today.
Wow. Okay, how does that work?
We have to look at how open rates are technically tracked and scored. When you send an email, your marketing software embeds a microscopic, invisible, 1-by-1 pixel in the code.
Oh, a tracking pixel.
Exactly. When a user opens the email, their email client downloads that pixel from your server, and that download registers as an open.
Right.
The algorithms at Google and Yahoo are constantly calculating your ratio of successful opens against your total sends.
So it's a math problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's purely mathematical. If you send to 10,000 people and 8,000 of them are dead leads who never trigger that tracking pixel, your engagement ratio looks abysmal to the ISP.
Because it just looks like you're shouting into the void.
Right. The machine learning model concludes this sender is blasting unsolicited garbage that nobody wants. Yeah. If you refuse to delete those dead leads due to the sunk cost fallacy, you drag your overall sender score down so low that your emails stop reaching the 2,000 people who actually engage with your brand.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, though. The guide acknowledges how psychologically painful that deletion process is for a business owner, right? It's like throwing money away.
It's agonizing.
Yeah, but they offer this highly strategic compromise before you make that final brutal cut.
Yes, they outline the win-back campaign.
Okay, explain that.
Before you completely purge those unengaged emails and accept the financial loss, you isolate them. You segment out everyone who hasn't triggered an open pixel in, say, 6 months.
Okay.
Then you send them one final, highly targeted campaign.
Like something that forces an interaction. Like, do you still want to hear from us?
Well, yeah.
Or maybe a massive, unprecedented discount.
Exactly. It forces a binary choice.
Yeah.
If they blick or reply, the tracking pixel fires, the algorithm registers a positive engagement, and their status on your list is revived.
And if they don't?
If they don't bite, the data is unequivocal. The guide is incredibly strict on this point. If the win-back fails, you have to cut them loose to protect the integrity of your domain.
Wow. You just have to sacrifice the dead weight to save the ship.
You have to.
Okay, so list hygiene is step 1. What is the next mechanical step in the rescue plan?
Send consistency.
Send consistency.
Yeah, you must establish and maintain a predictable sending cadence. This requires analyzing your historical metrics to find out exactly when your specific audience is most active and locking into that schedule.
Why does timing matter to a machine learning filter? I mean, if the content is good, why does Yahoo care if I send it on a Tuesday at noon versus a Saturday at 2 a.m.?
Because predictability is a hallmark of legitimate infrastructure.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Spammers and botnets operate erratically. They acquire a server, blast a million emails at random hours of the night to avoid peak monitoring times, and then they just disappear. Legitimate businesses have predictable cadences. When you send on a consistent schedule, the ISP's algorithms recognize the pattern. They see that your server establishes a handshake at the same time every week, delivering a consistent volume of data.
It's like clockwork.
Exactly. That predictability signals operational maturity, which drastically boosts your sender reputation.
So we have a perfectly pristine list, and we are sending on a totally predictable, algorithmic-friendly schedule. But the Stella Pop Guide makes it clear that even with perfect infrastructure, if your actual payload, the content of the email itself, is formatted incorrectly, you will trigger a tripwire.
Yeah, this is where we transition from audience and infrastructure management into the actual code of the email.
The actual code.
Yes. There are highly specific visual and textual tripwires that will trigger a spam filter's defense mechanisms instantly. The guide lists several, using red font, writing in all caps, excessive punctuation, and sloppy HTML coding.
I feel like we all intuitively recognize this when it lands in our inbox. It's the visual equivalent of someone screaming at you through a megaphone in a crowded room.
That is a perfect description.
But how does the algorithm actually see that an email is visually obnoxious?
Well, it doesn't see it the way a human does, right? It reads the raw MIME format and parses the underlying code.
Right.
The spam filters Bayesian logic scans your HTML and CSS. If it passes a tag that reads font color equals red combined with strings of capitalized text and multiple exclamation points, the algorithm cross-references that specific code structure against millions of known spam emails.
Oh, I see.
Historically, malicious actors use red text in all caps to create false urgency. So the machine learning model assigns a massive risk weight to those specific HTML tags.
And it is the same thing for the actual vocabulary, right? Like,
Yeah.
the guide specifically flags classic spam words like free, urgent, and cheap.
Yes. If your code contains red font tags and your text payload contains a high density of the words urgent and cheap, your risk score skyrockets past the threshold and the message is terminated.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, the inbox providers aren't arbitrarily deciding they hate the color red.
No, not at all.
They are simply reverse engineering the historical data of what malicious actors have done and coding their defenses to look for those exact technical footprints.
That is exactly it. They're operating pattern recognition engines designed to protect their users from poor experiences, which brings us to one of the most dangerous tripwires the guide discusses.
The clickbait subject line.
Yes, the clickbait trap.
This is a huge trap for marketers, honestly.
Yeah.
You desperately want that open rate to be high, so you write a subject line that aggressively oversells the payload.
Oh yeah, like you won't believe what we are giving away today.
Exactly. And then the user opens the email, and it's just a standard, boring 10% off coupon.
Right. And the problem with that strategy is the algorithmic feedback loop.
What do you mean?
Well, you might successfully trick the user into triggering that open pixel once, but the user immediately experiences a massive disconnect between the promise of the subject line and the reality of the content.
And people hate that.
They despise it. That frustration leads to a devastating technical action. They click the report spam button.
And that isn't just a way for the user to vent, is it? That button actually executes a command.
Oh, absolutely. It executes a direct API callback to the provider's central server.
Wow.
It sends a highly weighted negative signal that says, this domain and this IP address are hostile. When real users actively report your message, it overrides almost every other positive metric you have. Your sender reputation absolutely plummets.
So what does this all mean for the sender? How are we supposed to strike the balance between a genuinely exciting subject line, say we actually do have a massive game-changing product release, and triggering these algorithmic tripwires or frustrating our users?
It requires complete alignment between the hook and the payload.
Alignment, okay.
Yeah, the guide insists that your subject lines absolutely should be exciting, but they must be completely factually relevant to the internal content. You have to provide your leads with undeniable value. If you consistently deliver high-value content that matches the subject line, you train your users to anticipate your emails.
Which naturally leads to the final and perhaps most fascinating section of the Stella Pop guide.
Yes.
We've spent this entire deep dive talking about tracking pixels, DNS blacklists, HTML parsing, and IP blocks. But as the guide concludes, it shifts the focus entirely.
It does.
Beyond all the machine learning and formatting tricks, there is an ultimate filter at play, and it is not made of code. It is purely human psychology.
They refer to it as the brand halo effect.
The brand halo effect. I love that.
Yeah, when all is said and done, people are simply more likely to open, engage with, and protect emails from brands they inherently trust.
It is entirely true. I mean, think about your own inbox. There are a handful of brands or creators where I don't even process the subject line.
Same here.
I just see their domain name in the from field, and I instantly click because they have built a reservoir of trust with me over years of consistent quality. I know without a doubt that opening their email will not be a waste of my time.
And this raises an important question regarding how we view digital marketing as a whole.
Okay, lay it on us.
While executing the technical hygiene, cleaning the lists, managing the IP, avoiding spam words, all of that is non-negotiable simply to get past the gateway.
Right, table stakes.
Exactly. But you must simultaneously execute the creative work of brand building. You have to develop distinct market positioning and cultivate genuine brand loyalty.
Which explains exactly why an agency like Stella Pop authored this guide in the first place.
Right.
They explicitly state they specialize in blending these two worlds, helping businesses navigate the rigid, unforgiving technical architecture of email deliverability, while also managing the creative strategy required to build that deep brand affinity.
Yeah, if we synthesize everything we've covered today, it reveals a fundamental truth about modern digital communication.
Which,
high email deliverability isn't a technical loophole you can exploit. The algorithms, the open rates, the IP scores, the engagement metrics are ultimately just digital mirrors reflecting the reality of your actual customer relationships.
wow.
The technology is merely measuring at a massive scale how much value you actually provide to people.
The algorithm is just a mirror. That is an incredibly clarifying way to look at it.
I think so too.
And that is exactly why this matters to you listening right now. Whether you are a founder trying to scale a startup, a freelancer distributing a portfolio, or just a local business running a weekly newsletter, the messages you create hold value.
Definitely.
You are investing your time and resources to put a piece of communication out into the world. That effort deserves to reach its intended audience. It deserves to land squarely in the inbox, not get silently stripped away at the server level because of an easily fixable technical misunderstanding about how your domain is categorized or how your list is managed.
Understanding these invisible mechanics really changes your perspective on the entire landscape.
It really does.
And it leaves us with a rather profound implication to consider.
Ooh, all right. What is it?
If our email deliverability is constantly being judged by algorithmic engagement scores, if domains are blacklisted simply because a mathematically significant portion of an audience ignores the messages, does that mean the modern definition of spam is no longer just malicious scams, but simply anything that is slightly boring or irrelevant?
Oh, wow.
Right. Are we approaching a future where being uninteresting is a technical offense?
Being boring is a technical offense. That is a brilliant framework. That completely changes the stakes the next time you are staring at a blank screen, crafting a campaign. You aren't just trying to make the copy sound clever or the layout look pretty. You are actively fighting for your operational right to be heard by the digital gatekeepers.
It's a whole new way to think about writing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for exploring the mechanics of this with us. Keep questioning the algorithms, keep scrubbing those databases, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.